to remember, this is the woman who voted to preserve NAFTA, to extend NAFTA, the very trade deal that sent American auto jobs to Mexico by the tens of thousands and turned American dreams into nightmares. She supported these EV mandates that taxed you, took your money, and sent it to electric vehicles that are made in China instead of made right here in the state of Michigan, destroying thousands of Michigan auto jobs in the process. Kamala Harris now is standing here in Michigan asking us for a promotion. I think it's time to say to Kamala Harris, no thank you, you are fired.
And that is Ohio Senator and Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance campaigning in Byron Center, Michigan yesterday. He's blaming VP Kamala Harris for sending auto jobs to China and to Mexico. Vance's comments come as Stellantis has plans to lay off nearly 2,500 workers at the Warren Truck Assembly plant in Michigan. That's currently builds an older version of the Ram 1500 pickup truck. Joining me now is Michigan Congressman John James, member of the House Foreign Affairs and Energy and Commerce Committees. He's also an Iraq War veteran. Congressman, it's always a pleasure to talk with you, and thank you again for your service to our great country. I want to get your take on what's going on in Michigan here, because you've got a real change of sentiment. Whereas we used to see all the auto jobs churning about in Michigan, it's totally changed now. You've got so much production happening in China because of the electric vehicle push. What are your constituents saying about this?
Very, very concerned. But look about this, Maria. Michigan is the election center of the universe in 2024 because we are an economic bellwether for the rest of the country. When you start seeing layoffs in Michigan, you better be concerned around the rest of the country, because recessions come to Michigan first, they last the longest, and they hit us hardest, because the economic policies of these Democrat extremists are pushing our jobs not just to other states, but to other countries. We've seen this movie before. We saw it in the recessions in the 80s. We saw it with NAFTA in the 90s. We saw it with the recession in the early 2008. And we're seeing it again now. These types of things, that losing 2,500 jobs in Warren, jobs that we should be doing here. These are the types of things that happen when the Biden comply or die is force automakers into survival mode. And that's the kind of thing that not just hurts the auto workers, right? Most of them who will be laid off will be junior auto workers, the younger folks for whom Santa Claus will be visiting right before Christmas. Yeah. It's going to be hurting suppliers. It's going to be hurting the bar and grill directly across the street, and they're going to have to lay off workers. This has a massive impact on Michigan's entire economy, and Kamala Harris is responsible for it.
Well, I think this is a really good point that you're making, because within Michigan and certain communities, the auto sector drives a lot of the activity. So it's got lots of legs in different industries because they're all basically surviving on the strength of the auto sector. So it has a big impact, Liz Peek. Jump in here, because this is a serious economic issue, and we're seeing those cracks in the auto sector first in Michigan, Liz.
Well, yeah, the government has made it almost impossible for these companies to move forward because of the EV mandates and all the other problems. But, Congressman, I want to ask you about the relationship between the United Auto Workers leadership and their membership. It seems to me Donald Trump did pretty well with UAW workers in 2016, probably not quite so well in 2020. Sean Fain just came out and basically sued Elon Musk and Donald Trump on pretty ridiculous charges that they were talking up firing strikers and stuff. How do you read this tension? I mean, is this are we going to see the auto workers turn out for Donald Trump in this election or not?
Well, first, good morning, Liz. Great to see you again.
Nice to see you, too.
Yeah, and second, Sean Fain is trying to save his own skin. As part of the legacy of UAW leadership among many most recent presidents who have been popped for corruption, Sean Fain has had a very bad past few months with those probes coming in from D.C. of all places, looking at allegations of corruption, but also losing in Alabama, and now this where losing jobs potentially to Mexico with the layoffs in Warren. and overflow work going to Saltillo. Sean Fain is looking for anything. He's grasping at straws because he recognizes that his own union population isn't aligned with him. Sean Fain has sold his auto workers out for environmental extremists and the Biden agenda. This is something that does not work for auto workers, and auto workers know it. Auto workers recognize not just that their jobs are going to other states and other countries, but they're less able to take care of their families long term. And the younger auto workers, the one who's just got started, those are the ones who are going to be hit hardest by the layoffs, the ones who have young families. They know that Sean Fain's leadership is not working for them, and Sean Fain is pointing the blame anywhere else he possibly can.
So, Congressman, are you believing the polls then? I mean, a new poll finds Trump trailing Kamala in Michigan. The vice president is up 3 points. When I spoke with President Trump earlier this month, you know, he said that the members of the UAW are with him. And he warned that a Kamala Harris presidency would be devastating for the state of Michigan. Watch this.
Kamala Harris will have all auto jobs are gone. Michigan is going to go bankrupt. And Michigan is essentially going to go state bankruptcy. It's a special little category. They're going to lose all of their automobile manufacturing jobs. They're going to lose all of their businesses because it's all going to China. I renegotiated so many deals, South Korea, Japan. I made them into good deals. If I didn't have those deals, we wouldn't have any business in Detroit, because the thing that they do best on is small trucks, because of the deals that I made with South Korea with tariffs, because they're tariffed very high. So they can't send them, they can't bring them into the United States and kill our truck industries.
Congressman, do you agree with that? Do you agree with the tariffs plan? Because I know that within the Republican Party, there's even debate about that. Some people feel that that's going to create, you know, a disadvantage for America with these tariffs. But President Trump told me he uses this not only as an economic lever, but he uses tariffs as a national security weapon as well, keeping adversaries at bay. What did you make of his comments there when I interviewed him last week?
Well, China cheats, plain and simple. They cheat.
Yeah.
And so everybody wants free trade, but we also need fair trade.
That's
and
right.
we need to make sure that our trading partners are not fleecing the American people. That's job number one. So the best thing that we need to do is make sure that we are operating in a tax, tort, and regulatory environment that allows us to compete, because we make the best cars and trucks in the world right here in Michigan's 10th Congressional District, the #1 manufacturing district in the nation. And 50% of Michigan's economic output is attributable to the automotive sector. It's critical, it's key, and we recognize how important it is. And so when you have administrations, when I questioned Secretary Buttigieg, when the Transportation Secretary, when I questioned Michael Regan, the administrator of the EPA, directly on how their policies and their regulations would be taking jobs away from Michiganders, they gave political talking points, and that's not good enough for us.
Yeah, great point all around. Congressman, good to see you this morning. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.